Good afternoon to all of you. My name is Chris Christodoulou. I'm the Group Chief Operations Officer of Quality Group Development and Investments. And I would like to begin with thanking you for being present with us today and joining us for this seminar, Quality Group and Alternative Investment Funds, in partnership with GMM Fund Managers. Just a few housekeeping items that I'd like you to consider. As you can see, the seminar is being recorded and we provided to you via email in the next couple of days. If you have any questions during the seminar, these will be answered at the end, as we will have a Q&A session. Today's presentation will be split into two parts. The first part will be introducing Quality Group, the potential that is Larnaca, and a unique investment opportunity. The second part will be introducing GMM and the alternative investment funds. Our first speaker, Mr. Savas Kankos, is our founder and chairman of Quality Group Development and Investments, with over 30 years of experience in managing and advising in the real estate sector here in Cyprus. He is an active member of various associations, including but not limited to the institution, the Cyprus Federation of Association of Building Contractors and the Cyprus Land and Builders Developers Association. Since 1996 until present, he serves as CEO of Quality Group, which is one of the leading property development, hospitality and medical organizations on the island and the Mediterranean. Quality Group owns a well-diversified portfolio of over 100 completed projects and 50 projects under design and construction in strategic project locations. Savas is a man with a vision to see Larnaca become the best European business and relocation hub, a man of compassion, passion, and courage who dares to venture where others stop. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we will explain to you how and why we dare to lead by example. Without further ado, it is with great privilege that I begin this seminar with our founder and CEO, Mr. Savas Kankos.
How many exaggerations, Chris? First of all, I would like to welcome everyone. And before we start going to detail of what we are doing and why we created this fund, I would just like to tell you that 3 years ago, during COVID, when COVID started, I was just trying to find solutions about the future of this country, especially after the immigration program, the passport program, as people are saying, stopped. And I could foresee that things will not be easy and are not easy and will not be as easy as we might thought. You see the dramatic global changes that are happening. And then I realized that maybe there must be other ways. I have no idea about funds, I have no idea about financials, I've never been involved in any financial institution or whatever. I just know how to build, how to create. And then I called up my team and I told them to look for the best people in Cyprus that we can work together and create a product which is suitable for the needs of our clients, of the people of Larnaca, of Cyprus, because in few years people will not know where to put their money. That's what I was believing on those days. And then I call up my friend Michalis Ioannidis, which after becoming the chairman of SIDA, he disappeared. But Maria is representing GMM in a better way, I believe. And I told him we want to have a product where people can put from 1,000 euros, and then we were bargaining, and then we raised the standard to the minimum to 10,000 euros, up to any amount they want. And he said, what do you want to create? I said, I'm working for 30 years, an average of 300, at least 320, 330 days a year. an average of 120 hours per week. So I have an experience of around 120 years. Please, and what is my mission in this place is to create a group which will not belong only to me, will belong to everyone. Can we do this? He said, list your company. I said something easier, faster, or whatever, and that was the idea of the fund. And with all the respect, we are here because we believe that business people are not as bad as some people that are trying, especially, again with all the respect, politicians. They were just for the sake of gaining some votes or whatever, why he's making so much money, why he's doing this. We want to prove that without business people, no one will be able to work. From Quality Group, we have something like 2,000 families working direct or indirectly. Indirectly, I should say, is even more in all the sectors of the economy that we are dealing with. And at the end of the day, yes, the whole idea of creating these funds, it was simply to make people join us in this journey to succeed, but to give back to the society and mainly Larnaca, because this is our main concentration, is the triangle of Larnaca, Nicosia, and Famagusta. That's where we believe that is the future of this island, and is still something which is viable and is realistic. So, in having this in mind, we created, and we are moving, we are changing the mindset of people, making them believe on what we are doing, making them believe that yes, their money is, they can be also investors. You don't need to be a millionaire to be an investor. People can start from nothing, like I started from nothing 30 years ago, and they can achieve goals that they will not believe themselves. That was just an introduction, which I had to say. So, what is my scope today, and what I've been asked is to present what is quality and why we are concentrating so much in Larnaca. Quality Group has been established in 1991. I'm the founder of the group, and at the past it was just dealing with contracting and then real estate and developing. But we realized, especially after the turbulence that we had in the economy, different, we passed the stock exchange crisis, we passed the Gulf crisis, we passed so many crises. We realized that it's good to be diversified, and then we created another 3 pillars, which is the hospitality, the education, the medical, and very recently we created another pillar, which is industry. So our bread and butter was, is, and will always be the real estate. That's what we know, and you need to have bread and butter in anything, you do in life. We believe that we know the market, and we concentrated in Larnaca many years back, when you could buy Larnaca for 1,000 euros per square meter, whereas in Limassol was 10,000 euros, for example. We didn't get tempted to move to other cities, because step by step we wanted to create a product which will give the results. Not now, we were seeding mainly for many years, and now is the time that we can collect the products. So the second sector that we have been involved recently, actually first was in 2016, when we started. Actually, this hotel was supposed to be a business park. We bought this complex here through different people, and it was our first attempt for building a hotel. We realized that maybe Larnaca was not ready to accept a business park in 2016, but it was really needing a good brand, a good hotel. And Cyprus actually was in great need of branded hotels, because the habit we have in Cyprus, we want the name of our children, the name of our fathers, grandfathers, wives to be there on the sign, something which I don't like. And we conducted first Radisson, then IHG, and then Best Western, and we managed to get the exclusivity together with Sunny Seeker of these three brands in Cyprus, and the result was this hotel. After doing the first hotel, then we got even more tempted, not because the hotel is a business which makes so much money, but it's a business where it's making so much networking, and in any crisis, in our opinion, it's a business that is the first people is the easiest to sell in any crisis. That was my experience during this journey, and especially having the experience of the crisis of 2019 to 2022. Still, the demand for hotels is unbelievable. Then we moved to build the Indigo, the Best Western, now the Radisson Beach, and we have on the pipeline 12 hotels which are under construction or under licensing. The other sector was education. We started the attempt with the students' accommodation by cooperating with UCLAN Cyprus, and we built the first complex of accommodation, very successful project, sold out in no time, I think 1 month sold out completely. Then a second project with 286 units, 90%, so 100% I think now, sold out, also in a matter of 4 or 5 months. But if you see the demand around, and if you see the demography of the area, of the region, and what is what people need, if we had schools to accept another 10,000 students today in Larnaca only, I would say yes, they are going to be full. It's something which we always brainstorm before we take a decision. And what I feel, because we are frontline usually, and myself, I'm not just sitting in the office. I like seeing every single client coming in Cyprus. And what is the feeling that we get is that many people from the region, they want to move a plan B of their lives. You see what happened to Lebanon. We have examples here. Anthony, for example, after the explosion, he just packed everything, and in 24 hours he was in Cyprus, trying to put in school 3 kids, like him, maybe a few other thousands of Lebanese, Jordanians, Iraqis, whatever, the whole region. Now, many Chinese and Congolese. What's happening in China is making people worry. And we are always trying to make sure that we can provide what people need. And for sure, education is a sector which we are going to be involved heavily in the near future. We have something already under development, which will, of course, always in cooperation with people, because when you don't know a subject, it's the same model that we did with hotels. We didn't know how to run hotels, so we went to Sunny Seeker. We told them, "Come, we're joining you. Let's join forces, and this is the product." The same with education. The last and most successful pillar, I should say, of the group is medical. When doctors were running hospitals, with all respect to them again, don't forget that most of my family are doctors, and they approached me because they were guarantors mainly. And that was the same in all the hospitals, I think, in Cyprus. I believe, Angele, I'm right, isn't it? I told them only one condition. I have majority and no doctors in any management. And then we did the first trial with Timios Stavros, a hospital which was losing money for 10 years. In 1 year became profitable. It's all about management, it's all about transparency, it's all about having the right people. And for sure, I'm not managing the hospital, whether the easiest thing to do is to employ someone which knows the subject in order to do it. And then expanded more by doing other sections of medical, by buying the land next to Timios Stavros, which is it's not a secret. It's going to become the largest hospital in Larnaca with 120 beds. And the whole street where Timios Stavros is, which most of the assets belongs to us, we want to make it a small Harley Street, as I call it, of Larnaca, which definitely is possible. So the last pillar will expand also, having in mind that the easiest thing nowadays, and what I realized during COVID, where I had too much time to think because there was no work, so what you do, you just think and develop. And then now the Russia-Ukraine war, we can create business. We don't expect business to come and find us, no chance. You can create markets. And this is maybe the strongest part of Quality Group. Quality Group is a one-stop shop. It's a place where 2,000 people work from, and everyone is important. The most important probably is the person which is cleaning, because without them, nothing could be done, nothing could be approached. But we have top-level people as well. In all levels, we have in the headquarters something like 100 people. We have 5 chartered accountants in-house. We have lawyers in-house. We have management companies in-house. And this way, we created a big family where even clients became part of the family and became investors. Having the experience of 2013 with the banks, we said that it's better to have 10% of nothing instead of something instead of 100% of nothing. And we started sharing with investors projects. We work with an amazing business model. And this is the model that we believe will suit the fund to manage such, because we don't manage the fund, but to manage the investment part and propose to the fund that this is what we believe you should buy. When is money available, then it's unbelievable how much money you can create. I do say to my people sometimes that if you give me in a crisis 1 million, I can make it 10 million in no time, because you know the feeling of managing money where everyone is in need of money. And this fund, which is already out in the market the last few days, started approaching huge names of course which I cannot disclose. Some of them are sitting in this room, that they came from all over the world. They became partners to us, with us in sub-projects. They will be part of this fund, and they are giving us their money to manage them, which is a big honor for us, but a big responsibility as well. And especially for me, my friend Angelos here knows very well that in 2013, I could run away with and just tell the banks, bye-bye, 200 million, which was the debt of the group on those days, but we said, no, let's negotiate, let's do a haircut, but stay here, pay the debt, so you can face people, and being able to start here in front of you, and make sure that people will have the trust in managing their money, because we can take nothing with us. The only thing we can take with us is our good name and something for our children. Why Larnaca? And I'm saying as of the last 6 months, why the triangle of Larnaca, Nicosia, and Famagusta? That's what I personally believe, just a personal opinion, of course. Larnaca was the most undeveloped city in Cyprus for many years. The reason was very simple. It was trapped between the refinery, the oil storage tanks, and the airport. The airport, before, which was a curse, is becoming a blessing. The refinery, which was a curse, is becoming a blessing. Why? Because simply, in my opinion, it gave time to the authorities to design a proper city with a proper master plan. It's not something that master planning, we didn't discover it. It's something that everyone should use it. It's the same with the projects. Everything is planning. And when you say developer, you are not a builder, you are not a contractor. You are developing a concept. This is what we should always think, and that's why every project of quality is a concept design. And every city should have this master planning, which are international, appointed by the municipality of Larnaca, and created a city where there is no traffic,
It's a city with 2 circular roads, something very similar, of course, in a smaller scale to London with M4 and many, many junctions. So the locals that they know how to go from A to B, at least they leave empty space to the other people. It's a city where many private projects started happening, but prices which are value for money, because if it's not value for money, why people should come to Cyprus and not go to Monaco or New York or somewhere? And I'm saying this because we do have prices in Limassol, with all respect. Limassol is a beautiful city. Everybody loves going to Limassol and enjoying this beautiful city that they create. But is it realistic? Is it realistic to be the same price like Monaco, for example? In my opinion, no. And why should investors come to Cyprus? Because they love the idea of Cyprus, because they love quality group, because they love what? Investors, they only care about one thing, ROI, nothing else. How much money they will get back. And we need to be straight. And we want to create products that they will have good ROI. Today, by renting an apartment, we have projects that will guarantee 6%. I don't think anywhere else in Cyprus you can get this. Real rental guarantees, not rental guarantees that people used to do during the passport programs, just put a rental guarantee and who cares? After 3 years, what will happen? Is it the real value? That's what, that's how you should approach the investors. And Larnaca, in our humble opinion, I believe that, yes, is the only city which can offer this to investors. Then we have the big projects, the mega projects, as we call it. The Marina of Larnaca, it's well known who is behind the Marina of Larnaca. It's around town, it's a huge public company from Germany, but they're Jewish. Like here in this room, maybe we have more Jewish than, I say Jewish because we have Cypriot Jewish as well. And a small, I always say this as a joke. When I was at university, one of my professors, he told me, do you want to succeed in life? Close your eyes and follow Jewish. When they go, go. When they leave, leave. That's what is happening in Larnaca now. Yakir Gavai, around town, as is well known in Germany, a huge group investing billions in the redevelopment of the beachfront of Larnaca, and many other big names that few of them are in this room, but no names, are coming in Cyprus to invest. Definitely, they know very well what they are doing, and especially they are coming in Larnaca, because still you can develop a project with a cost of 1,500, 1,600 euros per square meter and sell it 2,200. Again, it's a ROI, very simple. How much you can make. That's what they are doing, and that's why we strongly believe in Larnaca. The project of the marina, as you all know, is a project which will create 5,000–6,000 new jobs. The oil and gas is in the area, and my opinion, I foresee now that the west part of Larnaca is the next big thing to happen, because at the end of the day, people should live somewhere. And like every city, the center will become much more expensive for younger people. They have to move out, and we will create a bigger city. Cyprus is a very big island as far as population is, as far as area is concerned, but as far as population is too small. It doesn't make sense to have 1 million people with now 1,200 square kilometers. And with mathematical accuracy, I believe the next 10 years the population of Cyprus will be doubled. But these people they need a roof, they need somewhere to eat, they need somewhere to go and enjoy themselves. Or 3 million tourists per year. This is a joke. and we are celebrating in the Ministry of Tourism that we are bringing 3 million tourists per year. What is 3 million tourists? Singapore is bringing 30 million tourists. It is 10 times smaller than Cyprus. In Crete, which is zero infrastructure, and if you travel at night from one side to the other, you have 50% chances to have an accident. No infrastructure, zero, and they have 3 million tourists. And we are celebrating that we have 3 million tourists. Is no chance the new generation, the young people are moving and taking the lead of the country. We have so many good and educated people that I'm sure that in few years we will not recognize Cyprus ourselves because we have the people to do it. And we have the private sector which is taking the lead now in the market, thank God. I hope everything will be privatized, to be honest with you, at the end of the day. So, and it will be better for everyone. It's not only the business people that they will make the money. Everybody will make money. Other big projects happening in Cyprus now, as far as I know, I don't know if they have any list here. Yes, they do have. In the center of Larnaca, the historical center of Larnaca is well known. Is many things happening. Is a place which is fully preserved by and protected by UNESCO, which is spending a lot of money in the center of Larnaca by pedestrianizing roads, by listing buildings and creating this cultural thing which always had to be in Cyprus. We need to protect our culture, in my opinion, and we need to know that it's not everything that has to become with skyscrapers or whatever. We need to protect the environment, and thank God these things are very well taken care of in Larnaca. And okay, the Metropolis Mall, which is already completed now, is creating a new area, an area which a few years ago you was really scared to go there. It was just Ken, the military camp. Now it's an area with at least 2,000 houses there. And with the mall, the whole area has changed. Continue with, because Maria has to explain to us about the fund, which is why we came here tonight. I think it's just a small video about Larnaca to play, and then Maria will take the lead. Thank you very much.
Welcome to Larnaca. Welcome to Larnaca, the oldest city in Cyprus, with a history that goes back more than 6 millenniums. Legend has it that Kittim, the son of the biblical figure Noah, was the founder of the first settlement of Larnaca, known at the time as Kition, a tribute to his name. Through the centuries, numerous traders, colonizers, invaders, and conquerors were attracted to this port city's geographical location. Today, a walk in the city center reveals its rich history through many historically significant monuments. Beyond its rich history, Larnaca is a coastal city that has it all. Sun, beautiful blue flag beaches, delicious gastronomy, a vibrant nightlife, and so much more. Filled with leisure activity choices from cycling to wreck diving and numerous other water sports to choose from, it is particularly attractive for those who love the beach life. A wide range of restaurants, taverns, and coffee shops complete the Mediterranean lifestyle experience. In recent years, Larnaca has seen tremendous growth. Being home to the country's primary international airport, it is the entrance to the country for many visitors from across the world, with more than 11 million travelers passing through in 2019, breaking the previous year's record. Larnaca is not just a touristic hub. It is fast becoming an established business hub as more and more international investors choose to expand their business activities here. With the city center continually growing and the development of modern hotels and buildings all over town, the future of Larnaca already appears in its present. Major global brand names in the hotel industry like Radisson Blu, Radisson Beach Resort, Indigo International, and Best Western, all developed by Quality Group, have a presence here. Larnaca is on the development journey, with many ambitious projects coming on the way. The new Metropolis Mall and the public marketplace that will open at the end of the year. But the most significant is the extension and modernization of the existing marina and port. An area of 332,449 square meters will be developed into high-rise buildings, shopping areas, restaurants, hotels, residential villas, academic institutions, and offices. There are significant benefits for the Republic of Cyprus, with an estimated 19.6 billion euros income, over 4,000 jobs, 604 million euros will be invested in infrastructure, with 7,000 square meters social infrastructure and 10,000 square meters academic institutions. All these show the significant potential and rewarding opportunities this city has to offer.
Thank you, Mr. Savas, for such an elaborate introduction to Quality Group and the potential of Larnaca. Ladies and gentlemen, indeed, Larnaca is in the spotlight, and we can all see the potential at the moment. We can see it live. But we'll move on to our second phase of our seminar. We'll discuss introducing you to GMM and the fund itself. So with us we have Maria Barriotto, who is GMM's Managing Director.
Hello everyone. Thank you, Mr. Savas, for this presentation today. GMM is the manager who has managed the funds that we already discussed. Mr. Savas said at the beginning. Actually, we are an independent group of fund management companies regulated by the Cyprus Securities and Exchange Commission. We manage UCITS and AIF under our two regulated companies. We manage 48 funds, 22 UCITS and 26 AIF. These funds have 400 investors, and the total value of our funds under management is approximately 250 million. We manage all major asset classes for both liquid and illiquid strategies. We manage transferable securities, equity funds, balance funds, bond funds, money market and hedge funds. We manage private equity funds, which invest in shipping, energy, venture capital, and food and beverage. We manage real estate funds that invest in hospitality, education, commercial and residential properties, and mixed-use properties. And we manage funds that invest in digital and other assets like blockchain and loan origination. Our usage funds range from ultra-conservative to growth in all asset classes, and their values are daily published in the Cyprus Stock Exchange. The portfolio yields in these last 3 years during COVID period, from 2019 until 2021, it was for the aggressive funds 26.5%, for the balance funds approximately 63%, for the conservative funds 22%, and almost 2% for the ultra-conservative funds, which are much higher than the interest rates that we get from the deposits in the bank. In the alternative sectors, we invest in most important and growing sectors of the economy. We invest in hospitality, in commercial and residential assets, in energy, and in shipping. Our process for investing in alternative assets, first of all, we identify the market, the sector, and the asset class that promises the required return and the risk profile that we determine. And then our team identifies the market experts for these identified markets, and we set up a partnership in order to assist and advise us on the market and the available assets that they are at this market. The market experts, they identify the best deals, and they create a portfolio, a pipeline, which is proposed to the manager in order to decide and finalize the portfolio on the asset that will proceed with the investment. Before the investment, of course, we have to raise the required capital that we need for this investment. And this is the stage that we are for these funds, the quality funds that we are discussing. After collecting the required capital, we are proceeding with the investment together. In the case of the quality funds, first of all, our in-house team identified the potential in the real estate market in Larnaca, and we set up a partnership with Quality Group, which is the market leader in the real estate market, mainly in Larnaca. And together, we set up the asset portfolio for real estate in Larnaca. Some of these are the assets that already shown before. Let's say some information about the two funds. Quality Income Retail Fund and Quality Growth Retail Fund are two retail alternative investment funds authorized and regulated by Cyprus Securities and Exchange Commission. Both funds are addressed to retail, professional, and well-informed investors. And the funds are externally managed by us, by GMM, which is a regulated alternative investment fund manager, and we are regulated by CISEC. When we say retail investors, we mean all of us, all individuals, either all persons, either individuals or legal entities that they would like to invest. Quality Income Retail Fund invests in long-term sustainable real estate assets and securities that benefit either from long leases or from predictable operational cash flow. And the Growth Retail Fund invests in a range of real estate assets and securities at their initial stages that benefit from long-term capital growth. When we say that they invest in assets that they benefit from long leases, it means that we invest in assets that we already have and generate incomes. For example, Radisson Blu, which is a hotel that has operation and has income. It means that we invest in buildings, in commercial buildings that they have offices that are rented and collects some income. And the growth retail funds, we are talking about assets that they are under development. Both funds invest in real estate, in hospitality and tourism, education and medical. The participation in the fund will enable positive performance. And how the fund works is that the investors, they are putting their money in the fund in a pool of money. The manager collects the funds, and after deciding the investment, it makes the investments. The fund generates the income from these investments and giving back to the investors their returns as a dividend, depending on the way that we decide. Some key characteristics of the funds. The Income Retail Fund has a targeted return. It's a targeted because it's based on our calculations for the time being. For an annual return or 10% for 4%. It has a conservative asset profile. It invests in real estate, hospitality, education, and healthcare. The initial subscription price is €100 per unit per share. The minimum subscription amount is 10,000, and the minimum holding period is 5 years. When we say the minimum subscription amount is 10,000, it means that the minimum ticket, the minimum amount that you can invest is 10,000. And the minimum holding period, it means that you are putting your money in the fund and you have to leave your funds there for 5 years from the date of your subscriptions. You can redeem and liquidate after the first year, but the 5 years before, you will get back your return, your income from the fund. The Growth Retail Fund is targeted average return of 10%. It has an aggressive asset profile. Again, it invests in real estate, hospitality, education, and healthcare. It has an initial subscription price of €100, minimum subscription amount 10,000, and minimum holding period 5 years. LLPO law firm is the legal advisor of the fund. PwC is the fund administrator, whose main function is mainly the calculation of the net asset value of the fund. And the Keisner Diabono is the external auditor of the fund. Eurobank is a depository of the fund, and its main function is the safekeeping of the assets and the monitoring of the cash flow of the fund. So we cannot use the money where we want, but we have the depository as a safeguard to check and confirm that we are using the money for the investment according to the policy of the fund and according to the terms that are written in the prospectus of the fund that the investor has in their hand. At this point, it's good to describe the subscription procedure, the process of onboarding an investor, a client, to the fund. The first stage is that the investor needs to complete a subscription application package and provide us with the needed KYC and AML documents. This document consists of the passports and ID of the investor, the utility bill. It completes a FATCA and CRS form that's requested by the authorities for having some information. It completes a form with its financial situation and financial background. And this form includes the reason of investing in the fund, its annual income, its source of funds and wealth, and it needs to provide us with some documentation proving this source of income. After completing the application, it's provide all this information, the application along with the documentation to the fund administrator, who reviews and ensures that the application is completed correctly and that the documents that we receive are sufficient and are certified correctly. And in case there is some missing information, the fund administrator liaises with the investor to collect the missing information. Together with this documentation, the investor has to provide us with the proof of the deposit of the amount that he wants to invest in the fund. At this point, the bank, the depository, which is the banking institution of the fund, may request some further documentation from the investor, and this is based on the internal policies of the banking institution. Upon completion of the review of the documentation, the fund administrator circulates all this information to the fund manager, who finally is going to approve the investor and onboard the investor to the fund. Upon the approval of and acceptance of the investor, the fund administrator prepares the deposit confirmation letter and is delivered to the investor, which is confirming that we receive the amount that the investor wants to invest in the fund. After the closing of the subscription period, the manager approves the closing of the period and instructs the fund administrator to issue the units to the investors. And the fund administrator prepares the subscription confirmation, which again is delivered to the investors. And in this letter is confirming the number of units that the investors has in the fund. Just to note here that the initial subscription period, at the initial subscription period, the investors are getting their units based on the initial subscription price. As we said before, in the quality funds, in both funds, the initial subscription price is €100. After the closing of the first subscription period, in any other subscription periods, the second, third, and any others, in order to issue the units, we have to calculate the net asset value of the fund and the net asset value per unit. We have to determine the price of each unit, and this price is going to be used in order to issue the units that's going to be allocated to the investors based on the amount that they are going to invest. As we said before, and as I said before, the initial subscription price for our fund today for the quality fund is €100, and the first initial subscription period is closing at the end of this month. From then on, the price is going to be changed based on the valuation of the funds, which is based on the valuation of the assets. And according to our calculation, this is going to be higher than €100. Some advantages of investing in a fund are the following. There are more investment opportunities as investors are part of a wider pool of funds. They have access to investments which otherwise would not be feasible. For example, because of the size, of the cost, there is accessibility to investment opportunity in key sectors of the economy, either in Cyprus or abroad. There are economies of scales, like lower transaction costs. There is investment specializations, as funds tend to focus on a specific investment policy and benefit from the experience of the fund managers and the other advisors and providers of the fund. There is better return prospect and risk management as the result of the involvement of the fund industry professionals. Even a smaller investor may benefit and gain from the access to these professionals and their experience. There is a risk diversification as capital can be distributed into a range of investment. There is protection of the assets because, as we said before, we have a depository where we deposit the titles of the assets, and this depository is independent from any other functions of the fund and mainly for the fund manager. And except of the, as we said, the safekeeping of the asset, the depository is monitoring and supervising the cash flow of the fund. There is an investment protection as it is a product that is subject to strict implementation procedures and continuous regulatory monitoring. There is full transparency because we have to publish the information to the regulator and publish some information to investors. And the funds are regulated, as we said before, by SISEC, by a governmental authority. And except of the advantages of the fund, we have some benefits directly to the investors. The fund is a transparent structure where investors get a clear and frequent view of their underlying investments and their participation in the fund. There is a confidence security since it is a highly regulated environment with emphasis on investor protection. There is a protection for minority shareholders because, as we said, I mentioned before the prospectus of the fund, where there is written the terms of the fund, and this prospectus is prepared according to the law, and in our fund, which is a retail fund, is approved by SISEC. There are significant tax incentives, including the zero withholding tax on dividends for foreign investors. The entry and exit mechanisms are easy. There are simple procedures for capital increase and reduction. And the management and maintenance of the fund are performed by licensed and highly skilled professionals of the industry. I would like to thank you for your time to be here and hear all this about the fund and quality. And all the team is ready to answer any of your questions.
Yes, can you please elaborate on the residency by investment?
Yes, of course. Back in March 2021, the authorities approved that third country citizens can invest in a fund for the amount of €300,000 and be entitled to a permanent residency permit, which entitles the investor to reside on the island, to have access to the education of the island, and of course to the healthcare here in Cyprus. So there is a immigration investment portfolio solution in place, and investors from third countries can participate in the fund.
So investors will keep their residency as long as they have invested in the fund?
Absolutely. You have to keep your investments in the fund, and they also have to have a rental in place, but that's part of the fund structure. So, yes. Any other questions? Yes.
Are the units of the fund bankable?
We have initial suggestions from our depository that they are bankable, but it's still in a trial and error phase, which we'll have to participate and see. So basically, when somebody wants to bank the units and use that as securitization, we have initial, should I say, consulting that it can be done, but we have to try it out first and get the approval. But we believe that they are bankable, yes.
Will you provide any IT platform or a mechanism so the investor will know in real time what the situation and the status of his investment is?
This is our medium-term strategy of the fund, because it's a first-time fund and we're closing an initial subscription amount this month. We do have that in the pipeline. So yes, they will have real-time access in terms as to, there's already a website, of course, and they will have access to where the fund is investing, but the NAV is calculated on a 6-monthly basis, so he will be receiving a report from the administrators, which is PwC, which will be explaining at that point in time what the value of the units is.
Anyway, the change in the value is based on the calculation of the NAV. So it's
Okay,
not
okay,
something that
question.
is volatile every day. We need to calculate the NAV in order to have any change.
But Maria, that was not the question. Are we planning to have something?
We are planning.
Yes, we're planning.
Yes.
The platform that you're describing it's very important, but you will not be able to have live access to what the unit value is. You'll be able to have a platform which will be our website, which will be able to see what assets are under management, what is the value of your units at the point of the NAV, that when we close the NAV, and we will devise a sort of an application, but there won't be, you can't see, it's not like a stock market.
Will the investor be able to switch the risk level and switch industries, let's say, within his investment?
No, this is not an asset allocation fund. It's a direct fund but you will know we invest in. The beauty of this fund, ladies and gentlemen, is that you know where your money is making work. So it's being invested in Lonica, it's being invested in solid real estate assets and in 4 sectors of the circular economy. So you know where it's going. In asset allocation portfolios, you don't really know where your funds are being allocated. You just say, I'll put so much in equities, so much in stocks, so much in real estate. You actually know where your money is being allocated.
Lazar, as far as the bankable product, the answer is, in theory, is yes, but as you know, you cannot be 100% sure today of how the banks will react. Because unfortunately, the major problem we are facing in Cyprus is banking. Let's be honest, straight, and realistic. In theory, the agreement when we created the fund, it was, yes, this product can be used as a collateral in case you need money, and instead of not to exit the fund and have losses, to go to the bank and get a loan which as a cash collateral at the end of the day. But unfortunately, we cannot guarantee anything with the banks nowadays in Cyprus.
Because our next question, apologize.
Yes. Also depends on the profile of the investor, for sure, yes. Yes.
What will be the conditions some investor to exit the plan in case he might find a new option or opportunity?
There is a minimum period in the fund for 5 years. After the 5 years, the investor can request the redemption of its units and get back its money. However, according to the law, at the half-5 period, 2.5 years, the investors, a percentage of the investors may redeem their units, may request a redemption of their units.
And which
Or you can sell to a third party, to the secondary market.
How is the first period he can receive his return? Which will
We are planning to annually to give a return to the investors.
from the first year?
Yes, yes.
Which is the scale of the return? The percentage and the scale?
It depends where the investor participates. If it's in the income, we have a target return of 4%. When it's in the growth, we have an expected target return of 10%. Of course, this depends on the market conditions at the point of the dividend, as we call it, distribution, but this is the target that we are aiming for.
So are these the income retail fund and the growth retail fund? Do they belong to the same fund and they're two separate compartments?
Exactly, yes. Yes, they belong to the same umbrella fund, yes.
Okay, and the reason why one is of aggressive nature, that it gives 10% and the other one gives 4%, is it because the investment, the underlying assets are different? What gives the
Yes,
difference in
yes, because of the underlying assets. In the growth fund, as we said before, the assets are estimated in the long-term growth. That's why the fund is investing in projects that they are under development. And the income fund, it invests in already existing assets that they already generate income.
And the reason for the difference is because there will be also capital appreciation of the actual property?
Yes.
Both capital appreciation and, of course, the risk appetite of the investor.
Yes, it's the risk appetite. That's what it is. If you want to take risks, then and mainly what we are doing, we are moving a big part of quality to this fund. The way that we manage, we have assets that they just there for securities, that they know that we have 4 or 5% return by renting them. But we do have assets that we are very aggressive. For example, you might go to the bank and buy an asset which is considered rubbish and change it and make it an amazing asset. And then we sell it. So mainly in the first one, you're trying to buy and keep. In the second one, is buy and sell, aggressive and fast.
I have another question. How come the minimum investment is 10,000 when typically the minimum investment for regulated funds is 125,000?
These are retail funds, and they are addressed to retail investors, which means that you can invest in any amount that you want, and this is the amount that we determine. The funds that you are referring to are the funds that address only to professional and well-informed investors.
After the maturity of the contract, okay, can you convert the transferable security into common shares to the Coliving Group or not?
You mean which shares?
The convertible. You offer convertible shares, if I understand exactly from the...
No, we offer units. The fund offers units, and the fund buys shares in companies that they hold assets, properties. Doesn't mean that it's only...
SPVs.
Yes, we use it, yes. Or directly. The fund is going to invest either directly in the properties or through SPVs, or in companies that hold assets. Yes, we are not investing in shares of Quality Group. Of course, thank you, Mr. Anglis. We are not investing in shares of Quality Group. We mainly invest in assets and acquiring assets of Quality Group, but not in Quality Group as a company.
Different entities, okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask? I would like to ask about investment, because you say there is a 4% and 10%, minimum 10,000, right? You are very transparent, and I want to know about flexibility. If in 5 years' time, if somebody wants to change or there is any flexibility to switch to another area. This is number one. And number two, today, I hear that one insurance company is asking the investors in Cyprus who is coming in Cyprus, which I know personally, they're going to give 15%. Of course, like everywhere in the world, it's about the trust to whom to give, because, and also you can get the money anytime you require.
Okay, first of all, you can switch from one fund to the other by redeeming the units that you have in one fund and the investment in the other fund. As for the redemption and taking back your money at any time, mainly this is happening in the funds that they invest in liquid assets, in shares that are listed in the stock exchange, bonds, these kind of assets. In the assets that are in in liquid markets, it's difficult to have redemption every day because for the redemption of the units, you need a calculation of the NAV. And this is, as you understand, it's not something that you have in one.
You cannot have every day.
Exactly. And in the liquid markets, you get your return in passing some period of time and not every day by having the prices in the stock exchange. That's why in this kind of funds, you cannot redeem every day, and that's why you have this minimum holding period of 5 years. Because according to our plan, is that it's a good period to get a good return after the 5 years.
I'd also like to add that it's an appetite of the investor, because you know where you're investing in quality income retail fund and quality growth retail fund. You know that your money is going to be invested in the city of Larnaca, in these sectors, or is an insurance investment product. You don't know. The insurance market is, in my opinion, the least transparent industry. It's an excellent industry, but it's not that transparent, and you don't know where your money is being invested. So here, you know, you have access. It is a fund backed by a developer, and at the end of the day, it's cliche, but it's true. If, for example, Google goes bust, you'll be left with a piece of paper, with a share certificate. That's it. Here, if things go south, you know that you have the brick. It's been invested in residential, commercial, hotels, and so forth. So you have cement, should I say, as your backup plan. You have something solid, something tangible.
The investment is only in the Larnaca and the Eurobank is behind, right?
Correct. Our initial thing is Larnaca. Because of the potential.
Mainly in Larnaca. Mainly in Larnaca. Our first target is Larnaca. We are planning to invest all over Cyprus, not only in Larnaca. And Eurobank is the depository of the fund.
But not yet. For the moment, Larnaca only, yeah?
Yes. Our first investment is going to be Larnaca.
I understand you emphasize on Larnaca. What about the rural areas? What about agriculture related? And what about the prospect of a return? And if it's a low risk or high risk? And how the fund can work in this area? Because it's expected these areas to have an exposure other than the VCs.
Very good question, and yes, the answer is of course yes, especially knowing the history of Quality Group. We like challenges, we like risks, but we tell you that yes, if you want to join us, but join the risk as well. And for sure, what you're saying is something which is in the pipeline, for sure. I do believe, as I said earlier, that Larnaca, the whole district of Larnaca will be the town of Larnaca very soon. And I'm glad they're doing these changes in the municipalities and the whole system, because at the end of the day, which has a small place, which we need people. And according to the planning regulations of Cyprus, because you cannot build more than 2 floors in rural areas, for sure the expansion will go there. And agriculture, yes, is also a very interesting sector, which will eventually appear. Actually, we have a project which is in Pervolia now, where I will suggest to the fund to invest in this project. It's called Green Capitation. It's a project where you can have a house, and behind the house you can have your farm, your field, that you can have fresh tomatoes and cucumber and oranges every day.
I saw the best western, and I imagine the best northwestern.
It's an interesting suggestion.
A question to Chris and Ria. Annual fund returns, will they be subjected to any tax implications?
Yes, if there are any tax implications, of course. The targeted return that we mentioned there is the net return that is going to be distributed to investors. course, if there are any taxes that the fund has to pay.
Okay, well, thank you everybody for your participation today.